Jimin and Jungkook's followers began sending hate messages against Taehyung in the Weverse fan letters section. They did so because they knew he often reads and responds there, and it bothered them, especially when he interacted with accounts related to Taehyung. For many, it was clear that all they were looking for was to make him uncomfortable. Even so, there are those who want Taehyung to continue responding to Taehyung's messages as he always has. Getting carried away with attacks would only prove right those who don't want to see him happy or at peace. Within the fandom, it was already being said that the most contentious part are Jimin's followers, who have earned a bad reputation for such behavior, to the point of being singled out as the ones causing the most internal fights. The truth is that neither Taehyung nor Jungkook are to blame for what's happening with Jimin. Their personal lives are unrelated. It's been known for some time that Jimin and Dian were together since 2018, and some Korean media outlets even suggested that the relationship may have continued during his military service. When the company decided to speak out, it did so through official press releases, not on Weverse, because such things aren't clarified on fan platforms but rather through formal media. Furthermore, Jimin has been seen attending events with Namjoon, sharing like any friend, showing that he continues to enjoy his life without appearing to have any problems. The fact that he doesn't run into Taehyung and Jungkook in public doesn't mean there's anything negative between them. They each have their moments and their circles. And if he chose to remain silent in the face of the rumors, it's because he doesn't think it's necessary to add more words to the subject. So why blame Taehyung and Jungkook for being together? They've been sharing moments for years. They've always had a real closeness that shows even in the simplest details, glances, smiles, the way they keep each other company. Their connection doesn't depend on what others say or the need to show off to prove something. It's part of how they understand each other and how they live their relationship. What's worrying is seeing how certain fans have gone so far as to consider such extreme things as going to Jimin's father's cafe to pressure others or to make their displeasure known. That kind of behavior crosses a line. It's meddling in the private lives of families, something that should never happen. In the face of all this negativity, the most important thing is to take care of Taehyung and Jungkook. They deserve peace of mind and to continue building their lives as they wish, without having to carry problems that don't belong to them. The best thing fans can do is fill the fan letters section on Weverse with messages of support, affection, and respect. Remind them that they are loved and that there are people who truly value what they represent together. In the end, all this shows that the attacks don't come from what Taehyung and Jungkook do, but from how some interpret what happens with Jimin. They have no responsibility for the decisions or lives of others. All they do is continue sharing as always, supporting each other through thick and thin. This unity, which for many is an inspiration, should be a source of pride, not hatred. Talking about Taehyung is talking about moments that feel real. There's no need to embellish them too much because they already have a weight of their own. Love, in its purest form, appears when someone shows you that you're the most important thing without needing to say it with grandiloquent words. That's what many see every time Taehyung and Jungkook are together, a connection that is conveyed in a simple, yet powerful way. One of the most talked about memories is that 9-hour trip Jungkook made to see Taehyung. It wasn't part of a plan, nor was it related to work activities. It was a personal decision, made out of a desire to be close. That journey isn't measured only in kilometers, but in what it means, to put everything aside for the person you care about. That gesture has stayed with you because it reflects what Taehyung represents to Jungkook, someone worth all the effort. There's another moment that no one forgets. Taehyung was under the spotlight, with the entire audience staring at him, and instead of taking the opportunity to talk about himself, he decided to direct the attention to Jungkook. He casually said it was his birthday and asked everyone to celebrate him. It was an honest, loving moment in which he made it clear how much he values him. He could have enjoyed that space just for himself, but he preferred to share it and make Jungkook shine even more. These kinds of details reveal the place he holds in his life. What's special about Taehyung isn't just gestures like these, but the consistency with which they show how much they mean to each other. We're not talking about a single event, but a series of moments that show the same pattern, choosing each other above all else. Unexpected trips, words that come out at just the right moment, ways of being with each other that make it clear they're not simply companions, but someone much more essential in each other's lives. What makes all of this resonate so much with those who watch it is the way it emerges so naturally. It doesn't feel imposed or alien, it feels like something truly born. Taehyung, by giving up his space to highlight Jungkook, and Jungkook, by traveling continents just to see him, teach us that love is built with simple but meaningful actions. These aren't promises that are lost over time, they are actions that speak for themselves. Taehyung reminds us that love can be shown in things that seem simple, but in the end, they are the ones that matter most. Looks held, laughter shared, words whispered in a crowded setting, these are small fragments that, when put together, paint a much bigger picture. A story that many recognize as authentic because it needs no disguises or justifications. Every time they support each other, it reinforces the idea that it's not just about working together or living together because they're in a group. It's more than that, it's a personal bond that has remained strong over time. When Taehyung speaks about Jungkook with such sincerity, and when Jungkook decides to move from one continent to another just to see him, they are saying something without needing to explain it. What exists between them is understood by what they do, not by what they say. For those who follow their steps closely, Taehyung represents one of the most meaningful connections one can see in the world of entertainment. Not because it is perfect or idealized, but because it clearly shows how two people can be each other's priority amid a life full of demands and public exposure. Deep down, what is clear is that Taehyung and Jungkook choose each other, time and time again. In the long trips, in the words that seed the spotlight, in the daily details that many perhaps overlook. This consistency is what makes their relationship seen as something unique, as a story worth telling and remembering. When you look closely at the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook, the first thing that stands out is the repetition of certain gestures. These aren't improvised movements or simple coincidences. What they do together appears again and again, almost like a language of their own that only they seem to master. This repetition doesn't just happen. When someone acts the same way with another person at different times, it means they feel it's natural, they're not forcing it. In the case of Taehyung, these gestures are clear and easy to recognize. They've often touched each other without showing fear, they've tried to settle next to each other as if that were their usual spot, or they've exchanged glances that linger longer than usual. Anyone looking from the outside can notice that there's no discomfort in these actions. On the contrary, they reflect trust, closeness, and a complicity that's hard to ignore. The interesting thing is that this isn't an isolated incident. It's not once it happened and that's it. It has been repeated in different contexts and moments of their lives. This consistency reveals something deeper, that both choose to be there for each other, even in the midst of demanding routines, travel, or public settings. In the small details lies a larger truth, they always put each other first. Examples of this abound. There are the unexpected trips, like the one Jungkook traveled hours and hours on a flight to meet Taehyung. It wasn't something planned as part of a work schedule, but a personal decision. There's also the way Taehyung, having everyone's attention, chose to single Jungkook out for a special moment, like when he reminded Taehyung it was his birthday in front of thousands of people. These moments confirm that they see each other as more than just a bandmate. They are moments that show how much they mean to each other. Taehyung's connection doesn't need labels or long explanations. Just observing their way of relating to each other is enough to understand that there is a strong bond between them. They never act as if they need to convince anyone. Everything is reflected in the way they look at each other, the way they seek each other out, and the way they support each other regardless of the situation. The natural way they do this shows they're not following a script or acting for an audience, they live it as it is. Over the years, this relationship has left its mark precisely because it repeats itself in different forms. It doesn't matter that some want to deny what's happening right before their eyes. The reality is that new evidence constantly emerges that confirms the same thing. Taehyung and Jungkook are united by something that transcends the ordinary. And the most interesting thing is that they don't need to clarify it in words. Their language is their actions. The gestures they share might seem simple to those who see them from afar, but when combined, they reveal a solid story. Touching a shoulder, leaning on another without thinking, sharing personal space without reservation, or holding a gaze when no one expects it, each of these moments is another thread that reinforces the fabric of their relationship. These are not isolated acts, together they form a pattern that, over time, becomes impossible to deny.